Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Crawford. This is WP Roundtable, Hangout number 6, and today we're talking an introduction to plugins. Let's go ahead and do our introductions. Brian, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I'm Brian Redder. I'm a web developer here in Dayton, Ohio. Mainly focuses WordPress. Do a lot of custom theme development from scratch. And chat about some plugins today.
Nice. Kellen?
Kellen Mace from East Michigan, freelance web developer. I have a URL down below today, my new site, so go check her out. Happy to be here today.
Excellent. Nathan?
Hey everybody, I'm Nathan Driver. I am a digital media strategist / web developer right here in Dayton, Ohio as well.
All right. Again, I'm Jason Crawford. I do a small business web development, and again, yep, we're going to be covering plugins today. Kyle?
Oh, I'm Kyle Maurer, lead developer and co-founder of Real Big Marketing, based in Jackson, Michigan.
All right. So real quick, going to go over with what plugins are, and plugins essentially are the functionality. For anybody who's new, this is an introduction to plugin conversation, and we're going to cover a few plugins just to give it, everybody's going to cover a couple different plugins to give an idea of what plugins can do, which ones we use when we set up a new WordPress site, and we had this conversation the other day about what goes in a theme, what goes in a plugin. So anybody new to WordPress who's never dealt with plugins before should be able to get a concept of what a plugin is and what kind of plugins that you might want to start looking for if you're new to WordPress. And so a plugin essentially just adds functionality to the website. Most basic things in WordPress are your themes and your plugins. Themes generally how it looks and to some extent how it operates, and then plugins cover additional functionality. And the reason you may want to include plugins instead of, well, the big reason for anybody new to WordPress is because it gives your website all sorts of functionality that you otherwise would have to go take a dozen courses on how to program that kind of stuff if you wanted to. And throwing in a plugin is really simple. If you signed up for the newsletter, there's a little video there on how to understand plugins and include them into your website. So not going to go over that right now, but yeah, essentially just add additional functionality. You go to WordPress repository, search through the plugins, go to plugins, add new, and just start searching away, see if there's something you like, or just Google whatever you're trying to accomplish, and add the words WordPress plugin, and usually there'll be 10 or 20 options there that cover that sort of functionality that you can just throw onto your website really easily, and then it'll include, you may add to the widget area or something like that, but plugins basically cover additional functionality. Anybody got anything else that they really want to put in on that before we start talking about our favorite must-use plugins?
Yeah, if you're getting 10 or 20 results when you're searching for a specific type of plugin functionality, you're doing really good. I usually get 50 to about 100. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that depends on how generic your search term is. If you just search SEO, you might find 50, but...
Right. Just had to put it out there.
Yeah.
Try to be as specific as possible when looking for a specific type of plugin.
Yeah, I always recommend just going into Google, typing in best X plugins, like best number of plugins for this, and usually there'll be 5 articles that go into detail on how good they did and what they did good on and what they did bad on, and start from there.
Yep.
So how about it, Brian? You want to give us your top however many you want to cover?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few plugins that I always install right away when I start with a new WordPress install. The first one I install is called Comment Red List. Comment Red List, I really like it because I can target a very specific IP address. So if I've got people abusing my comment log or my comment list, I go into this the options for this plugin specify which IP I want to restrict or red list, and then that IP can no longer comment on my blog or on my website. Now there are some downsides to that is, you're in an office environment. If somebody from that office is specifically causing issues on your comments, you're going to block the entire office doing it that way. However, you can also in this plugin you can do sequences. So anything that has certain words in it, things like that, you can get really detailed about what you want to block. Very, very useful if you're getting hundreds of thousands of comments that are just spam. That kind of goes along with one of the default plugins that I think one of you guys are going to talk about in a little bit.
Kismet?
Yeah, Kismet, which is standard on every install of WordPress. Requires an account, but I believe it's free or still free for basic usage, which is great. Those two work together seamlessly. The other plugins that I use, there's one that when I'm building a new WordPress site, I never rely on my server's email to send emails correctly. So I always use one that's called Semi-Swift SMTP. What that is it allows you to essentially take your server's email, send mail out of the equation, and use a service like MailChimp, or I'm sorry, not MailChimp, Mandrill, who was built by MailChimp, or a service like SendGrid or Mailgun, one of those just SMTP mail clients that sends the email for you. All it does is it uses a PHP library that installs with the plugin, and then you go in and set your settings with your SMTP server that you're using, your username and password. This plugin is really nice because it actually works with Gmail as well. So I can set up my blog, my website, to send via my Gmail account. And the nice thing about that is when you do that, the emails that get sent from your website show in your sent mail. And then the last one I'm going to chat about really quick, let me pull it up here, it's a really basic plugin. It's really nice though. It's Share This. If you want sharing icons or sharing capability from your website, this is the way to go, in my opinion. It's an account driven, so you have to sign up with Share This, but it's free to use, really easy to integrate, and it's got the options for sharing across all of the social media networks, even a share icon for emailing it to somebody. So it's just a really robust share system. So those are my essential plugins.
I just have one quick question. Is that the one that has like the drop-down box that, and then it opens up like 50 options or something like that?
I believe you can set it that way. The way I've got it set up though just has a few of the share icons on each one of my posts. So I've got it set up so it's Facebook, Twitter, email, and plus.
And you can actually check the analytics for that with that plugin as well.
Oh yeah, it's great analytics on it. Shows me how many shares, shows me where they came from, how they're doing, things like that.
Cool.
Nice. All right, Kellen, you up?
I'm up. I'm gonna try to do 4 plugins, but they'll be really quick ones here. So I'll fly through those. I'll turn on the screen share. All right. Everybody can see my screen?
Yep.
Sounds great. Okay. First one I'll talk about is iTheme security. This one I think is a is a great toolbox, so to speak, to have. It's formerly Better WP Security, but it was purchased by this company, iThemes. This is a free download unless you want advanced features in the Pro version. This one I found to be a great comprehensive security plugin to add. When you install this plugin, it kind of looks like this. When you go to security here in the sidebar, it brings you to this page, and what I like about it is it ranks all the security issues your site might have by high, medium, and low priority, way down here. So you can kind of read through the list and pick and choose which you want to fix, kind of how far you want to drill down. So at the very least, when I do a new site, I'll install this and take a look at all the high for sure, and glance through the medium as well. So for one example, let's see, your login area is not protected from brute force attacks. You can go to fix this, and it'll take you right to the screen where you can limit the login attempts. So you can say that I want, for every IP address, I want them to only be able to attempt to log in 5 times until they're locked out for 20 minutes or so, or lock out permanently if they've gotten it wrong so many times. It's obviously so they're trying to get into the site. You can protect against that with this one click right here and just specifying a few numbers. All right, so things like that. iThemes Security, highly recommended. I liked it quite a bit. Next one I'll run through is login logo. This one really simple, but I think it goes a long way in lending a sense of identity or ownership to a site. So, for instance, the usual WordPress login page to get to the admin area or the dashboard just looks like this with the WordPress logo. But with that simple plugin, though, I usually throw that in and just upload one image to the web server, which makes it look like this instead. So just whatever company I'm dealing with, whatever logo they have, I'll stick that up front. So it gives them the sense that I'm logging into my site that's branded with my logo instead of that of my CMS or that of my platform. So something really simple, but I think goes a long way to kind of give them that sense of ownership, I think. Next one, Google Analytics Dashboard for WP. I like this one quite a bit as well. When you install this, it looks just like this. So when you log into the admin area of your site, on your dashboard, you'll see this Google Analytics Dashboard. So you can see last 90 days, 2 weeks, yesterday, today, or real time, how many people are on your site at this moment. You'll also have all kinds of charts and graphs for who's new versus a returning visitor, the top pages, top referrers, who's coming to your site from Facebook, from Twitter, from any Google AdWords campaigns you're running, things like that. And then top searches, people who are finding your site, who are coming there from Google, Bing, Yahoo, etc. What did they search for in order to be directed to your site? So to me, this is all this info is in Google Analytics. If you were to go to your account, log in, pull up that particular site, and then sift through all the data, this plugin I think just does a nice bird's eye view with all the charts and graphs here, especially for any clients or for the independent site owner who doesn't necessarily want to take the trouble to go log into analytics every time. It gives them that a nice view of that right in their dashboard. Very last one I was going to mention is this plugin called Redirection. This sets up 301 redirections, which if you're moving, especially from a static HTML website, for instance, to a WordPress site, one of the benefits of that is WordPress has the really nice, squeaky clean permalinks, they're called, or URL, addresses. However, you can run into problems with that. If, let's say on your old site I had the locations. Let's say I have a race company, because several of my clients do have a race company, and they had a locations page where they're running all the locations for all of their races, or listing, I should say, the locations. Let's say that page ended in /locations.html, right? If they've advertised that all over the internet, that to see all of our races go to this page that ends in that .html, everyone all of a sudden is going to hit a 404 error page when they try to do that on the new WordPress site. So what I do when I move somebody from either another CMS or static site or anywhere to WordPress, I make sure I catch all of their old pages. So you can see here, under Tools and then Redirection, once you've activated this plugin, you can say, hey, anytime anybody goes to /locations.html, redirect them to just /locations, which is that very clean, WordPress link for that site. Or just anybody who tries to go to the Indianapolis, race event, send them to /Indianapolis 2014, whatever that new page is, right? So all these can be done manually. If you're a developer, it's really not hard to put in these 301 redirects. However, this plugin makes it very, very easy for really any user to just plug in what the old was, what the new was, and save every one of those. And as you can see, this side, there are quite a few, so it take a while to do all these if they weren't automated by this plugin. So I find that really helpful as well. And that was it for me.
Nice. I've used redirection before, but not in depth. Is there a way that you can actually maybe import like a CSV or like an Excel? Because just like what you showed, that's a lot of 301s.
It is, yeah. It is. Another thing I like about that plugin is you can monitor the 404 pages, so you can see who's hitting those error pages and which URL they tried to go to. So then that'll prompt you to add new redirects. But I'm looking to answer your question. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you can. Sure enough, the plugin in there, they have an options page to the plugin that says import. Here you can import redirections from an existing .htaccess file or a CSV. So there it is.
Nice. Nice. That will come in handy.
You can move those from site to site.
Yep, Nathan?
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess I'll go. Just from the top, the biggest thing that I first installed is Backup Buddy. I mean, it goes along with the iThemes, Word WP Security now. Pretty much any site that I do or am involved with developing or with a freelancer or whatnot, we use it for weekly to monthly backups, database, or all files. It's a great, it is a premium plugin, but I highly suggest it for anyone that's out there, and it's Backup Buddy. If you just do a search, you'll find it. Being an SEO guy, my top ones would be WordPress SEO by Yoast, and that's pretty much if you want to basically track your keywords, make sure you're hitting them correctly. If you want to get your title and your meta description, again, it's not that important, but when people are searching for it and your page comes up, you want to kind of develop more call to action on your description for your page or post, whatnot. Another one that kind of goes along with that is Google Analytics for WordPress. It's another Yoast plugin, which you can actually do quite a bit. If you have multiple authors or basically multiple years of content, you can actually track how many hits, how many people are visiting a specific author, how many people are going to previous years. You can just set up different, I think that he actually has a limit of 5 goals that you can actually set up. You can set up custom post types if you have like reviews under music. You can see which category is getting more. So it's really one of those. If you're a analytics geek like myself, you can actually dive into it and kind of see what your audience is doing or viewing and kind of gauge where you want to go with content. The last one would be Google XML sitemaps. And with that, there's kind of been a debate because WordPress SEO by Yoast, he actually has it built in for sitemaps. But the one thing that I've noticed that when he does it, he gives you multiple XML sitemaps. So you have a page.xml, you have post.xml. If you have custom post types, all of them, whatever the hierarchy is, they each have their own XML, so that you'd actually have to submit those to your webmaster, Google Webmaster Tools, or PHP Notices, or whatever, and Bing Webmaster Tool, so it can become quite a headache. So with Google XML sitemap, it's one sitemap, one XML. You just submit it and you're done. You don't have to stress about it, and it's all the content there in an easily read form. That's pretty much a quick breakdown. I know Kyle's got quite a bit more on it, so I'll throw it over to Kyle.
Awesome. Thanks, thanks, Nate. That's great. You're right. Those are pretty awesome plugins. So I'm going to try real hard to prove everybody wrong and not take up the rest of the show with my demonstrations and talks. So just got a couple plugins that I want to point out. Our talk today is kind of about essential plugins that we use all the time. And so I think that I've got a short list of plugins I use all the time. That's a pretty short list. Plugins like Akismet and stuff are generally always running on my sites, but I've got a longer list of plugins that I use most of the time. And so I was going to mention just a couple of those, and particularly focus on the ones that I don't think anybody knows about. So let me cover just a couple here. All right, who can see my screen?
Yep.
Me.
All right, great, that's enough. Okay, so I want to cover just a couple real quick, mostly, like I said, the ones that most people probably don't know much about, with good reason. All right, so a plugin that I use a lot is one that came from, the reason that I use it is because I make sites for clients all the time, and I want them to have a good experience when they log into their site. And the site that I give them, I want it to be easy for them to use and easy for them to understand and give them the information they need. And so a problem I identified is that when they log in and they see something like this default dashboard on a website, this is a bunch of information they don't care that much about, or at least my clients specifically. And a lot of things that, options, information, links, kind of an overwhelming number of links. Things that don't really concern them that much, and where to go to do what they need to do is not abundantly clear to most of my clients. And as such, I made a simple little plugin that is available on WordPress.org that takes the dashboard when activated and makes it look more like this. And so you'll notice that some things were stripped out of the toolbar. All the default widgets were removed. And these big, giant, humongous buttons were placed, as well as these new pages over in the side menu for account, help, and reports. This is what comes with the default Client Dash plugin. We are currently developing some extensions for Client Dash to bring in more information, but I'll show you what the current plugin has. Under account information, we've got just a couple tabs. They include information about the current logged-in user. We've got a help tab that gives you currently not a lot of information, but shows you like installed plugins and active plugins. A reports tab that gives you just a little bit of information. We're going to be extending this more. It currently tells you what kind of activity you're seeing on the site as far as content production, and also this nice script that we wrote to tell you the size of your media library, which I think is kind of handy. So that's Client Dash. That's something we made and released just recently, and we're currently developing a lot more for it. So anybody who makes sites for clients and wants to make it a little bit better when you turn it over to them, I want to check it out, or send me ideas on how I can make it better. Or if you're a developer and interested in making extensions, I definitely want to chat with you. So this is a plugin I use all the time. Here's another couple that I use all the time. So right now I'm looking at my staff profile on my company website. And so I picked this page just because it's got a lot of metadata with it that I know about. And so one plugin that, this is actually the first plugin I ever made and published. It's called Display Post Meta. And the reason that I made this plugin is because I was making a lot of post templates and custom, theme adjustments to bring information into the front end that existed, in the database. And I wanted a plugin that made it easier for me to understand what is available to me, what data exists in association with this post that I'm on. And so I made a plugin called Display Post Meta that when I'm visiting a page on the front end, I can click this button that appears in the toolbar, the DPM button. It adds some query arguments to the URL, and then it displays for me all the custom field data right here that is associated with this post in an array, including all of the appropriate custom field names and their associated values. This helps me when I'm doing my theme adjustments and creating my templates to know, what field names to include in the functions I make to display data. Like a lot of this information that exists on the page is based on custom fields. Most of these are from Advanced Custom Fields, which is another plugin I could talk about in a bit. But Display Post Meta helps me kind of understand what is available and what's associated with the post that I'm currently on. So this is helpful, especially when you work with a lot of different plugins and themes and whatnot that give you custom fields and custom taxonomies and things like that, and you want to understand how they're named and what values they have. And so visiting in a page on the front end and hitting the button kind of gives you a sense of what's available. So this is very developer-oriented, but it's been a handy tool for me. So that's one plugin that I use all the time, and I've been making some tweaks to it lately and issuing some updates on .org. So look for it to get a little bit better, and in the future kind of include even more information. But the last plugin that I really wanted to talk about is Query Monitor. So let's see. I'll bring up the .org listing just so you can see it on WordPress.org. So this is one of my all-time favorite plugins, and it's available for free on WordPress.org. And here's what it does. This is also pretty much developer-oriented, not that useful to beginners, other than some information could be pretty helpful to them. But it gives you this menu in the toolbar up here. And so on the page that we're on, we can get quite a wealth of information from Query Monitor. First of all, clicking on any of these links will take you to a section from Query Monitor that displays all of that pertinent information. I'll start with PHP Notices. This will display to me what notices, warnings, or errors are being issued by the PHP that's being run. So this is great for debugging purposes or for cleaning up your code or understanding what's wrong with a page. Below that, we'll have other debugging information that's really useful to a lot of people, including your version of PHP, information about your MySQL database, information about caching, blah, blah, blah. Keep moving on. But some of my favorite parts are understanding what template is being used in my theme, the conditionals that are available to me on the page. These are WordPress functions that tell you, what conditions you can use when you're writing your code, and also some of the query information is really, really interesting to me, especially when I'm trying to determine what's making some of the sites I'm working on so slow. So if you're dealing with a page or parts of your site that are running really, really slow, there's a lot of things that go into that, but one of the cool ways to get more information about it is to look at Query Monitor's query list. And so I'm looking at it right here. This is a breakdown of everything that's coming every time WordPress in the loading of this page is hitting the database. And most interesting is looking over here at the time it takes for each query. So WordPress loads a ton of queries on most page loads. And so I'm looking at each one of these and trying to see which ones are taking a long time to load. And most of them take pretty much just a fraction of a second. But every now and then, you may be dealing with a slow page. And you run across a query here that is taking a really long time. And Query Monitor usually will give you a heads up that you've got a slow query running on the page. But you can really get into detail down here and understand how well written your queries are, or what plugins or themes are creating slow queries, or anything that's slowing down the loading of your page. So there's a whole wealth of information available in the data that Query Monitor gives you, and just like Display Post Meta, it works based on the page that you're on currently. So you can look through all of this information just on the page you're on, and get all kinds of information, get really educated about what's going on. So this is one of the best debugging educational plugins for developers or beginner developers or anybody working with a developer to get more information about your site. So those are a few that I thought maybe not everybody knows about that I wanted to kind of point out. And yeah, that's about it from my end. What do you guys got?
Yeah, that's a really good tool, the Query Monitor. I didn't know about that. Really, be really handy for developing. Another one that you reminded me of during development of themes, a really good plugin to have, and I think a must-have if you're developing the theme from scratch, is ThemeCheck. Or if you guys have used ThemeCheck, but
yeah,
it essentially runs through all the coding standards of what WordPress looks for if you're submitting the theme to their repository. It calls out any kind of bugs or errors or anything that needs to be fixed. It does have a few quirks in it, like any plugin you find on the repository is going to have, one of which is it complains. It gives you a warning if you're not using the get thumbnail function anywhere in your theme. Things like that. But it's a really good plugin to have during development.
I love that, Brian. Thanks for that tip. That's going to be really helpful.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the when was it released? 3.8, I believe. The idea of the favorites for your plugins, just to make it easier on installing on a new site, the plugins that you always install.
Are you talking about favorites as in like your WordPress.org profile where you can favorite plugins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, it's an easy reference. I mean, the couple of plugins that you guys have mentioned, I go, oh, I remember I've used that before, but it's been 6 projects ago, or or whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I need to get back to that. So I actually just jumped on WordPress.org, logged in, and tracked it down, and made it one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a
I have
great
to say
idea.
I've never used it.
I'm totally doing that right now. I'm favoriting Query Monitor and Advanced Custom Fields.
Yeah.
And what else?
The first one I'm going to have favorite is Client Dash.
You're such a nice guy, Brian.
I did want to show you something on Client Dash real quick, if you guys got a second here.
Yeah, what's that, Jason? You're going to point out a mistake in front of everybody?
No. I'm going to point out right here where it pulls up my last edit backup buddy. And so I generally set like weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how active the client is. I'll set them to do a backup and have it emailed to some email account that I never check. I check it every month just to make sure I'm getting those solid backups, but otherwise I don't mess with it. But the clients generally want to have their own backups, and that is right there. As soon as you log in, I've got this big circle, and it's usually red telling me there's been 15 updates. But that's not that's obviously a backup buddy issue. But that was so far down the list before that I never saw it. And it just all that stuff now is cleaned out, and there's no more junk there that I keep pretending I'm going to read one day. And so I just thought for the client's aspect, I know all that stuff can be rearranged and whatnot, but having just a lot of that stuff uncluttered, it just simply brings a lot more important stuff up to my view to whatever's going on there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I should mention that we're actively developing a Backup Buddy extension for Client Dash now, which is going to take the Backup Buddy information and put it into one of those subpages that Client Dash creates and make it so that clients will have an easy, logical place that they can go to and download backups of their own site, which a lot of my clients value, give them that peace of mind, feel like they have control and access to the keys. So we're working on that now as well, and also many other things. So I'm really excited about getting requests for new Client Dash extensions.
All right. Well, as far as my plugins were concerned, most of them were covered. The only ones left were Login Lockdown, which was pretty much covered by I think it was Kellen who covered it in the basic same stuff in the iThemes security thing.
Right, similar. Mm-hmm.
Where you can just log down any IP address that's new and pretty simple to set up. I use that one just as very simple. Throw it on there. It's already and it's ready to go. If I don't not in a position to purchase additional plugins for that particular site. And then the other one we covered a couple weeks ago thoroughly was Clef. And then my other ones were already covered, so I'm not going to go back into Clef again today.
That's a great plugin. I had that on my list as one of my favorites. I think it's a really, really cool addition to the WordPress world and the internet world, and I really, really hope more people learn about it and it becomes a bigger part of just the web in general.
Cool. Hey, I actually want to do real quick, I know we mentioned about favorites, but I kind of want to do it real quick because when people search for plugins, they see, 50, 25 if they're lucky. But I want to do a quick screen share. It'll come up. So when people start looking and they start seeing this plugin hasn't been updated in over 2 years, I strongly urge people that are watching this now or a year from now not to download this or use that version and try to find something that's more current, because by doing this, it could hurt your website. And I just had to put it out there as a word of caution, especially to people that are new to WordPress, that come in and they go, oh, I just need a Twitter widget, I want it to do this, or I want it to do that. Oh, this is the first one that pops up. I'm just gonna, click it, make it go active, and good to go. But by doing that, it could actually hurt their site more than help. So I just had to put it out there.
To kind of piggyback off that, plugins that can hurt your website, just because it's a premium paid plugin does not mean it's a good plugin. People can put code in those that could ruin your site. Use your best judgment. Look at the reviews. Look at, do some research on it. And if you're code oriented, look into the code to see what it's actually doing to your website.
All right, well, we're actually ahead of schedule today. What's going on, guys? Normally we're running late. It sounds like everybody's almost wrapped up here.
Well, I cut mine short purposely. I was hoping you guys would pick it up, but
I've got one thing I could talk about. It's kind of a plugin, but kind of not. Again, I do a lot of theme development. So anything that helps me during the development of that theme, whether it be a plugin or this kind of pseudo plugin type thing, share my screen here for you. It's this piece of code from Code Canyon that I got. Last week we talked about themes. Themes from like Elegant Themes or iThemes or Woo Themes. They all have this site options or theme options panel that you can go set things specifically for your theme. This plugin that I bought, I think it was $18 or something. It was very inexpensive, $15 now. Very inexpensive from Code Canyon. I use it on every theme I develop. I consider this a plugin, even though you don't install it like a normal plugin. But it allows me. It's kind of like a advanced custom fields, which I don't think anyone actually talked about in depth. But it lets me fill in certain aspects, and it's really easy to add more things. And it utilizes the WordPress functions of the get options to pull data out of it. So it's a really good plugin to, like I said, I call it a plugin, but it's really not. A really good tool to use on theme development. It really helps out with the whole overall experience for your client.
So yeah, that's really awesome, Brian. I really love that, and I want to use it. I want to make it fine. You got a link you want to share with it?
Yeah, it's if you go to Code Canyon, just search for Pro Panel,
Pro
and
Panel.
it should come up. Yeah.
That's legit, man. Freaking legit.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they could make that a actual installable plugin to use in your theme, but it's kind of nice that it's not too, because then a client can't disable it.
Ah, yeah, that's what MU Plugins is for, right?
Yeah.
So I've got just a couple others that I thought I might talk about just for a minute, because I think they're also freaking legit. So in particular, Advanced Custom Fields is amazing and is totally the best freaking custom fields plugin there is. It's free on the repository and has some premium add-ons that are really, really cool. So if you've got to do anything like making custom fields, it rocks the house. Next week, if you're in Jackson, our WordPress meetup is going to be exclusively focused on advanced custom fields. We're just going to talk about that for 2 straight hours. It's like that powerful of a plugin, and I can talk about it all day long about the possibilities that open up when you use advanced custom fields. I've used in the past a lot of different plugins that allow you to create and customize custom fields and custom meta boxes on your posts, but really ACF kicks butt. It's got a lot of advanced options. It's really easy to customize, and some of the add-ons are just fantastic. Like in particular, the repeater field add-on is something that is like so cool. The client just requested on a recent project, and without ACF, I would have been like, forget about it. I don't know how to do that. You gotta find somebody else. But with it, I hit a home run for this client. They requested some fields being added to their events, where there would be a varying number of entries in these types of fields. So maybe I could even demo this, even though I realize that live demos are extremely dangerous, and I could embarrass myself quite highly, but that's okay. It's just you guys and the world. So I'm going to take a look at an event on a client site. Boom. Start screen share. All right. Let's take a look at some events here. Actually, I'm just going to add a new one on this client website. And this is for the events post type. And right down here is where I start the advanced custom fields. And so I had to make a ton of different fields for this client for all of their different purposes for their events. They have races, just like the site Kellen was showing earlier. People who run races that would kill me. So the repeater field is really, really cool. I don't even know how I would make this otherwise without ACF. But the client said we're going to add these maps, and there's going to be a different number for every race, for the different courses at a race. And so I just use a repeater field that allows me to not worry about the number that there's going to be. So otherwise I would be telling her, okay, how many is it going to be? Because I'm going to have to make 10 custom fields, and you only use some of them or something like that. But a repeater field, it doesn't matter how many there are, because you can just keep hitting this button and make more. And on the front end, it's going to display them all in a little section as a list. And I use the title here as the name of the map for a button, and the link as to where it goes. So this is like way cool, and allows me to not worry about how many she's going to create, and her to be able to make as many as she wants. And these are just a few of the other custom fields that I had to create for this post type. And another repeater field for the agenda of the day, for her to make a list effectively for each item that's going to occur on race day. A lot of custom fields for this. Advanced custom fields lets you set conditions, lets you populate the fields with default values, lets me associate a drop-down with another post type. For example, this is pulling from a slider post type, so the client can make sliders that they want to display on this event, and select for already created sliders using this auto-populated drop-down. And the rest of the fields are filled with default information that'll be the same for most events. And that's that. So that's advanced custom fields. I could also show you kind of what it looks like when you're actually working with it. Let's look at the event info. I'll just show you the fields that are available. These are all the fields that I've created. I could add a field if I wanted to, give it a name, and select from the various types. There's a lot of different types of fields that I could be creating that are way easy to create. The relational ones are really exciting. You could auto-populate a list with users, taxonomy values. Post objects are really cool. And then the repeater field is that one that I showed you where it doesn't matter how many one creates. And that's a premium add-on, but it isn't very much. And so you can just play with that and have really a ton of fun. Tons and tons of fun. Advanced custom fields.
Cool. Kyle, I have to say the coolest use that I've seen of advanced custom fields actually came from your talk at North Canton.
Really?
Your client that was in the military.
Oh, yeah, the World War II guy.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to talk about it, but it's
yeah, you can't just bring it up.
I mean I can tell it, but better come from you.
Yeah, I could pull that up, I guess.
Okay.
Just another meta box for a post type that you thought that was the best example of advanced custom fields?
I thought it was a really cool example.
Okay.
Just being able to give a client something where they wouldn't necessarily be able to fill out because they don't know WordPress or how to use it or anything like that. But being able to use custom fields to give them a very simple way to import their own data.
Right, exactly. That is the point. That's what matters to me. So, like Brad said, this is all about usability and making the post type like crystal clear to the user. And so this was an accomplishment for me mostly because it was a user with a very, very basic skill set. And so I'm still to this day getting phone calls from this guy, because something's wrong with his mouse or something wrong with his email. He doesn't understand why he's getting spam, or his window is moved off screen and he doesn't understand why he can't close his browser. Thinks there's a virus or something. So very, very basic user. But taking the normal post type view, which would be this, and with the title and the editor and asking him to write about veterans to giving him this these specific fields was a big step in making this accessible to him and understandable so that he is able to log into his site and publish information about the veterans that he interviews for his World War II program, which is a great program. I really recommend it to anybody interested in history. But giving these extra fields for clients is an awesome, awesome way to make it easy for them to understand, to work through just a list of easy questions rather than one big question, which is this editor. This is a hard question that a lot of my clients, when faced with this big empty white box, produce nothing because it's too hard of a question. But all of these are really easy questions, and so they can answer them. They can check these boxes and select these radio buttons and publish. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do something very similar for a couple of real estate sites that had to create custom fields or custom posts for. And I use Custom Press from WPMU for that. I don't know. I've never dealt with ACF, but it sounds like they're pretty similar other than that one feature that you mentioned earlier, that revolving or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've used Custom Press too, and it's also a pretty good plugin. I like Advanced Custom Fields probably more because I think its interface is better. I think it's got some better. It has more options in terms of field types. Especially the relational ones are really exciting to me, where I can select like post object or something, or associate a post type, or taxonomy, or user list, or something as a drop down, or radio group, or checkbox group as custom fields, and it'll just be dynamically populated, which is really cool. And also, like I mentioned before, some of their add-ons are really, really exciting. So I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Any final comments, guys?
Advanced Custom Fields is great too. Yeah. I use it on just about every other project as well. So I mean, I can sing its high praises, and I just learned about it probably a year and a half ago.
All right. So, all right, guys, let's call it a quit. Wrap it up, and I think we've covered so many plugins that give me a list of everything we covered so I can put it in the show notes or put it in the Google show notes that we've got set up so we can get those on there. I think we've covered so many plugins I wouldn't even know where to start.
All right.
All right. Thanks.